back. So last time I just reassembled the redrive, and so now this is a Saturday morning. What I'm doing here is priming the redrive with some oil, feeding it in through that drain hole. And after I got that done, I moved the aircraft outside and fired it up, and to test and make sure everything was running well, and I didn't have any leaks, and the governor was still working, and all that good stuff. So actually wasn't a bad day either. It wasn't too hot so much on Saturday. So this is a run up here going on. I'll let you listen to that for a little bit. And I still have the pressure gauge hooked up there to the governor, as you'll see here in a second. And it is kicking in the way it's supposed to kick in. So there you just heard it sort of kicking in then. And I'm not too worried about the fact that it's jumping around. That gauge is going to be coming out of there shortly. It's purely just so I can see that it's working. So there you go. You see it's jumping around there. So after that test, everything was good. No leaks in the housing. It wasn't even warm. The oil was returning back there because as soon as the governor was disengaged, the oil was all back in the sump. Didn't get any low oil level lights or anything. So touch wood, but mission accomplished on that front. So I took it over the other side of the airport here, and I've hooked up my straps here, and Mark wanted me to do a static thrust test on there to see at different power settings and different pitch settings on the prop, how much thrust the engine prop setup is generating. So here I am now just doing a run on that, with my crane scale hooked up, and you can see the yellow straps there off to the side. And the crane scale is hooked to those, and then it's anchored into one of the tie downs on the ramp. So here I am just running this and being a little bit cautious still, because this is only the second time now running this new configuration for the redrive with a full oil bath. So I only took it up to about 3200 RPM, I believe, and I did engage the no, actually I didn't even engage the governor on this one when I did this run, and it's a bit out of time sequence here compared to the last scene that you just saw there, but this is showing how it's ramping up with the force as I'm bringing the power in. So that was Saturday's testing, and the maximum I got was 698 pounds, and that wasn't full throttle. And now we're on to Monday. A little bit cloudier day, but also cooler temperatures. So I wanted to do like a full power run this time, and also change the prop pitch. Start out with like some pitch in there, and also see if the prop pitch adjusted automatically when it got to maximum RPM. So here you can see I've set everything up again, and there's the crane scale there, and the chain leading back to the anchor point there. It's one of the tie downs, and that's a concrete sort of block in there, so not worried about pulling it out or anything. And the straps just go around the legs, and this is just the equivalence of just standing on the brakes and doing a full power run, so it's not going to hurt the legs or anything like that. So here I am running it up now, and to see what it's doing. And also what I did on this one, you'll see in a second, I put my GoPro back on the view of the Y pipe there, so where the headers come out of the engine and go into the turbo. I wanted to see again what temperature, what EGT that starts to light up and go red, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly how much I can push this engine in terms of EGTs, to know where I'm gonna push it too hard or whatever. So anyway, you'll see that here in a second. So as you can see there, it got a little bit of colour on the Y pipe, but not as much as it did before. And this is showing what happened with the scale, and as you can see, it was moving around a little bit. And ultimately, because I extended the chain this time, it lifted in the air, and then I couldn't see the display. So that was a bummer. I didn't actually get any information on that run. Of course, when I backed off the power, it settled back down on the ground, and I thought, oh yeah, I've got my video from that, because I didn't have the remote view of it. So anyway, I didn't get a reading off of that one. And so the first one, I ran the EGTs up to, I think it was 1750 Fahrenheit, and it only just started to show some color on the Y pipe there. So I think that's still a comfortable number. I think the turbos can handle just over 2000 degrees where it's feeding in. So 1750 is probably the maximum I really want to take it to, somewhere like that. Here's the next run, doing the same thing, but this time actually allowed it to go to full RPM, and ended up going to 3850 RPM, and the governor did kick in and control it. And again, you'll see this is what the Y pipe looked like. So again, that one got to about 1750 Fahrenheit, and not too bad on the Y pipes. I'm happy with that. And this is what happened with the scale. Again, the same type of thing, because obviously I didn't adjust it. But for some just weird coincidence, you see as the scale gets pulled in the air, the camera lens actually bumps that hold button on the scale, and actually holds the display right where it hit. So right about there somewhere, it hits the camera and presses the hole kind of there somewhere. And as it drops down, you'll see it's got the reading that was captured there. So yeah, a little bit rough watching all that jumping around, but I wanted you guys to see what was going on. A little bit rough. Anyway, so as it drops down there now, you see we get the magic number, and it is 762 pounds, so a little bit more than the 698 that we had the other time, and that was a full power run basically. So I'm still not 100% sure what the number needs to be for this, but that's what it was. And so now I've got the thing just cooling down, and everybody's going to yell, well, why don't you have it shocked, blah blah blah, it's going to run away. Well, it's not going to run away, it's tied down. So I'm just letting it cool down then. And then I've got it back into the hangar. So next thing is, can see you've got the cowling on, just sitting it on there. I've also got the spinner on there as well, and the reason for that is because I'm getting ready to do the weight and balance there for the DAR who was showing up Tuesday, which was today when I'm recording this. So I got it up onto the scales, as you'll see here, and this is the numbers. And so this is with about 10 gallons of fuel on board, so that's 70 pounds right there, and also with the 100 pounds of ballast in the nose. So the empty weight without the fuel would be 3144, which, you know, obviously it's heavier than what I want it to be, but it's you know, by no means too heavy to fly. It's going to be fine. So that's the numbers there, and you can see I've got it sitting on the scales. Put new batteries in the scale, so they're giving me good numbers. So now we're on to Tuesday afternoon, and the weather was sort of holding there, and I wanted to do another couple of tests there for the thrust, the static thrust. So I set my scale up the same way I did on Saturday, where it was anchored, the chain was much shorter, so it was anchored much closer to the tie down point, so it wouldn't lift up in the air. And began to do a run, as you'll see here, so I'll let you watch that. And this is a run where I've brought the governor in, so it will kick in at about 3400 and probably pull the engine back to about 3200. And as you saw, I hit 807 pounds before I backed off the throttle. So that's running with a coarse pitch on the prop with not quite, you know, full RPM. So more pitch and about 3200 RPM. So the next run was going to be just leaving the governor at flat pitch, and it would kick in automatically at the maximum RPM of around about 3800. And I'm just going to run it to full power and see what happens on that run. So in this case, it actually went up to, the engine went up to about 3850 RPM, and that's where the governor was holding it, which is around about 2430 RPM on the prop. So I'll let you watch that one. So that one was about 770 something. It's hard to see it jumping around a little bit there. So actually less than the one where lower RPM and more coarse pitch, which is kind of understandable really, in a higher gear really. So I think that's about where we're going to be. 800 pounds is probably the maximum amount of this prop. So after that, just taxied back to the hangar and came to make this video for you guys. And before that, I didn't actually tell you, before that the DAR was there, and I showed him everything again and ran through the engine. I started up and ran it up for him a little bit, and signed all the paperwork and everything like that. And I've actually got the airworthiness certificate in hand now, so that's a bit of a milestone moving forward. And so the next step now is just to continue to do some of this testing, and then start taxi testing it on the runway and see what sort of I would say kind of 0-60 numbers I can get, and just start putting some hours on this whole setup. So it's been quite the roller coaster ride over the last couple of weeks with waiting for that prop to come, the prop shaft to come back, and the oil collar, putting that all together and then not having it working correctly, and then coming up with a new solution for that. And in the matter of days, because it failed on Monday and I had it working again by Saturday, and now it seems to be working. It hasn't, with all the runs that you've seen on here, I haven't had any problems with it. There's no leaks, it's not getting hot, the prop shaft is staying nice and tight, there's no play in it, but it's turning nicely. The governor is functioning, bringing the pitch in and letting it out quickly. So all in all, that's pretty successful. And then now that I've got the airworthiness certificate, legally it's allowed to fly, but I want to put a bunch more hours on it and get just to do a lot more testing before I get Elliot and Justin out here to test fly it. So it probably won't be until somewhere at the end of September before they come out. I've still got some niggling things that I need to fix, but anyway, overall things are going well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and we'll catch up with you guys on Saturday and see what has been going on. Thanks for watching.